Every 20 swings of the saw, the prisoner stopped and listened for the guards. If they were caught, the entire escape plan would be over. The metal bars were extremely tough, but the two prisoners took turns cutting until, after 30 minutes, they finally broke through. They climbed into a basement and searched for an exit, but every door was locked. Then they found an old metal bolt. They realized it could be turned into a makeshift key. Just as they started cutting it, they heard guards approaching. The two men quickly hid as two guards entered the basement to smoke. Luckily, the guards left without noticing anything. The prisoners immediately continued their work. After another 30 minutes, the bolt was finally cut free. They bent it into a key and discovered that it actually opened the basement doors. Using a small oil lamp, they entered the dark underground tunnels. To their surprise, most of the locks were identical, allowing their homemade key to open several doors. Eventually, they reached the iron door leading to the city sewer, but it had a spring lock, so they lifted the door, jammed the key into the gap, and cut through the hinges. After removing the broken pieces, they finally opened the door and carefully repaired it so the guards wouldn't notice. They entered the sewer, only to discover that the exit was sealed with concrete. They realized it would take several days to break through, but they had another problem. They had no way to tell the time. So one prisoner secretly obtained 2 glass bottles and some sand. They built a simple hourglass and discovered that each cycle lasted about 30 minutes. That night, they carried their tools into the sewer and began digging. They worked in shifts, slowly breaking through the weak wall. Then a leaking water pipe created another serious problem. They feared the pipe might burst while they were digging and alert the guards. They called a prison plumber to repair it, giving them a temporary chance to continue their plan. But during the distraction, some of their belongings disappeared, making the prisoners suspicious. Still, they continued digging. Then one prisoner named John decided he wouldn't escape. He feared that if he escaped, the police would go after his mother. The others understood and promised to keep helping him. 3 days later, the tunnel was almost finished, but suddenly, part of the tunnel collapsed on John. His friends desperately dug through the rubble. After several terrifying minutes, they finally grabbed his hand and pulled him out alive. Then, just as they were changing shifts, guards arrived to search the cells. The prisoners quickly covered the tunnel. The guards were looking for missing tools, and everyone feared the escape tunnel would be discovered. But at the last second, another guard called them away. The prisoners knew they had to move quickly. Finally, after days of digging, they broke through. 2 prisoners crawled through the tunnel and reached the outside of the prison. They had escaped, but they refused to leave without the others. That night, the group prepared for their final escape. Then one prisoner, Mark, was suddenly called to the warden. When he returned, he claimed his wife had withdrawn her complaint and he might soon be released. The others didn't trust him. That night, they began the escape. But when they moved the boxes covering the tunnel, they found a group of guards waiting outside. They immediately realized the truth. Mark had betrayed them. He had chosen his own freedom over his friends. In the end, Mark got a private cell and better conditions. But he lost something far more valuable, his loyalty. And the prisoners learned one brutal lesson. Sometimes the greatest danger in prison isn't the guards, it's the person you trust beside you.